Today, Reddit's dishing out 3 relationship stories that might make your eyes water. We have a man whose finances are being drained by a woman who's much better off than him, a guy who's been dumped but doesn't know why, and a lady who thinks she might have stepped out on her partner. But did she? To find out how these stories end, get yourself a coffee and grab a bowl of popcorn so we can get into it.
I'm 28, and my girlfriend's 34. We've been together for 4 years, and we both have normal incomes. I'm a self-employed artist, and she works as a manager at a store. A few years into our relationship, my girlfriend was awarded $200,000 through a court case. After putting $25,000 each into a house deposit and $7,000 each into a car, she burned through the rest of the money and is now $9,000 in credit card debt. I want to make it clear. Pretty much everything from the $200,000 she got was spent on frivolous things. Fast forward to now. If we go anywhere, I'm the one who has to pay, be it food, alcohol, her petrol, or her registration. I also find myself sending her money for lunch at random times. For the last 4 months, I've been paying off our very expensive home loan, something which was initially set up to be a 50-50 thing, despite the fact that she makes $70,000 a year. And last year I only made $11,000. I'm still the one covering all the costs. She knows that I get sad when she makes massive purchases, and her common response seems to be, "Well, your money is my money and my money is your money." But the invisible elephant in the room is the fact that when she had all that money, I never touched it. Now that she's spent everything, for some reason we now have this communal attitude towards our finances. I feel like this attitude is basically a way for her to be financially irresponsible, not having any regard for the fact that I'm self-employed and stressing myself out to make money for both of us, even though she makes much more than me. I struggle with communication, but I really want to get these thoughts across to my girlfriend without looking like a money-pinching, selfish person. I'll be honest, it's hard to see a future with someone who's working full-time but still won't provide equally. What will it be like if she leaves work to have children? We'll probably hit rock bottom very quickly. How do I talk about this in a healthy way? It's making me feel used, unappreciated, and sometimes it feels like I'm her walking wallet.
I have so many questions about this situation, but it's hard to know where to even start. I'd like to know if OP had anything to say about his partner's spending when she was burning through that massive fund. Still, for someone to waste all that money which could have gone towards fully paying off their home, is a major red flag. I'm curious to know what OP's partner would have said if he wanted some of the fortune she was awarded. It's amazing to me that OP's partner is earning $70,000 a year, but still not contributing to the household. What's she doing with all that money? Being a couple means sharing responsibilities, and if you're not with someone who's willing to do that, you're setting yourself up for a lot of stress in the future. This isn't the sort of thing OP can ignore. He'll have to address it sooner rather than later. It's most likely not going to be a pleasant discussion, and who knows how it will end. Still, for anyone who may be in a situation like this, you don't want to be with someone who's going to suck the life out of you, and then leave you on the side of the road when you're all used up. Those are my quick thoughts, but let's find out what's going on in the comments.
Okay, Finance says, what I got from your post is that the 34-year-old woman you're dating is selfish, entitled, and immature. Why are you with her? There must be some incredible qualities you haven't mentioned. If you're committed to this relationship, it's time to have a serious talk about money. You have to make it clear that she needs to start pulling her financial weight. Lay out a detailed budget of your monthly expenses, and then divide it by 2. That's what she needs to come up with every month. As far as personal purchases go, those should be done with her own money. Sorry, OP, but my prediction is that either you break up with her in 6 months because you realize she won't change, or she dumps you in a few years once she's sucked you dry and found someone else with more money. I hope I'm wrong. Divine Union says, she needs to understand the facts first. Unless you're married, your money is not her money. Relationships are supposed to be equal partnerships, and she's clearly not pulling her weight. You can kindly explain to her how the unfairness of this relationship makes you feel. However, I suggest you be very firm. I would go as far as to say, if you're not going to keep up your end and I'm paying the entire mortgage, I want to buy you out of the house. People who spend money with a reckless disregard for financial responsibility get worse over time. I'm frustrated for you, and I've been in this situation myself. The more you give, the more she'll take. Maybe you should put her on a budget, and when payday rolls around, have a recurring debit come off her check for the mortgage. You can't control what she does with her money, but you can control what you give to her. She can't spend it if you stop handing it over. Good luck. This next Redditor, whose name I can't pronounce, says, "It becomes a thing when you decide it's a thing. You need to sit down and have an honest discussion about finances, and if you want to keep your money separate or not." It sounds like she has a spending problem, so I highly recommend not joining your accounts. Be honest with the fact that you need her to start pulling her weight, and that you have a hard time planning a future with someone who, despite making more money than you, relies on you to pay her way. Go into the discussion knowing what's non-negotiable to you, such as splitting things evenly, but also listen to what she thinks would be fair. If she says the whole "both our money is ours" thing, make it clear that you have separate accounts and your money doesn't belong to her. Or, if she really thinks that, her money can also be used on you, especially since she makes more. For the most part, I don't think bringing up the $200,000 will be particularly productive. It'll come off as resentment, and maybe you do resent her a little. Focus on the here and now, the inequality, and her debt.
I think Divine Union's right on the money. You've got to think about what your life will look like in 5 or 10 years. If her attitude towards money stays the same, or continues to get worse, OP could find himself in a situation that he'd rather not be in. I'm sure that there are a lot of people out there going through something like this. Rather than letting things build up over time, address these issues with your partner.
A week ago, after I got off from work, my girlfriend of 3 years broke up with me. I was supposed to sleep over, but when I walked through the door, she was crying. Before I knew it, she walked up to me and hugged me. I asked if she wanted to sit down and talk because recently, I felt her pulling away from me. There was less kissing, more time on the phone, and she wasn't inviting me over as much. When she broke up with me, I was in shock. I asked if there was someone else, and she assured me that there wasn't. She just said that she needs to find love for herself. 3 days later, after sending her around 5 texts throughout the weekend, she finally replied and apologized for not responding to me. She said that she felt guilty and was worried that she'd only make things worse. We had a good talk, and I told her that I can accept the breakup if she really just needs to find love for herself. Fast forward a few days, and I reach out to her on Snapchat asking if I have a chance, and if there's any way I can salvage our relationship. She said, "No, the feelings are gone." I drive to her apartment crying my eyes out, and I knock on her door. She answers and reluctantly steps to the side to let me in. I sit down and ask her to be 100% honest with me. I asked her how long it's been since she decided that she didn't want to be with me. She said, 4 months. I tell her that it's unfair to tell me that she's going to be working on herself, when in reality she just isn't attracted to me anymore. I thought I had a chance. I thought I could fight for her. I'm completely heartbroken. I wanted to spend the rest of my life with this girl. We almost never fought and never had any serious arguments. We talked things out and shared our fears and traumas for the 3 years we were together. And now she's okay with never seeing me again. She's still got my number blocked, and she blocked me on her social medias too. I worry that I not only lost the love of my life, but my best friend in the world.
I felt the heartbreak OP was going through. Unfortunately, most relationships end long before someone officially decides to call it quits, which often comes to the surprise of the other person. Sadly, it seems like OP's ex checked out of their relationship a long time ago, and OP doesn't really know why. It might be the case that OP will never get closure from this, so he'll have to force himself to move on. It'd be nice that when people ended a relationship, they could be honest about what really went wrong, because maybe their partner can learn from their mistakes. Well, that's enough from me. Let's see what went down in the comments.
Dirty Rat says, "Almost the same thing happened to me, but we were together for 5 years. I tried to contact her to sort things out, but she was decided, and I didn't push it to the point of her actually saying those words. I also feel like I lost my best friend. We never had any fights or argued very much. We were happy, or at least I thought we were." Strict Hedgehog says, "Just keep going. Don't change your routine and don't listen to motivational BS on YouTube. She'll be in disbelief if she saw that you were fine, almost as if nothing happened. She doesn't love you anymore, and she doesn't owe you love, just like you don't owe her being rock bottom over her. If it took her 4 months to let go while still holding on to you, I'm sure you'll be completely fine. Thank God this didn't happen while you were married or had kids. That'd be infinitely worse." Jay Buckner says, I'm so sorry that this happened to you. I wish there was an easy answer to things like this. When someone's your whole world and then they're suddenly gone, there's no other way to be besides being devastated. I wish you luck. You will get through this. It's just going to take a dishearteningly long time. When you're finally through it, you're going to have some crazy, unshakable strength and wisdom. Feel all of the feelings that come with this breakup for as long as they're around, but make sure you always believe that you'll come out of this one day as a victor.
Let's hope that OP and anyone else who might be going through something like this can rebuild their life, and perhaps find someone who'll give them everything they need from a relationship.
I'm a female, and I've been with my boyfriend for almost a year. We've been through a lot together, but we recently had the biggest fight ever because he let me down big time on something very important to me. Although we almost broke up, we were able to resolve it. A month later, and we're super distant, barely even talking, we might as well be friends. I started chatting with someone, another guy. It lasted about 2 weeks. There was no flirting, it was very friend-like. I didn't tell my boyfriend that I was talking to somebody else because I didn't think it mattered. One day, me and this other guy were waiting for our little siblings, and when I turned my head to look at him, he went straight in for a kiss. The kiss wasn't long enough for me to call it a peck, but it shocked me. I was disgusted, I told him off, and then I blocked him. I told my boyfriend what happened, and at first, he was completely calm, telling me that he understood because he hadn't been the best boyfriend lately. He kept telling me that it was okay, and I told him that it wasn't because it was weighing on me. I felt like I betrayed him. In the end, he said something that upset me. He said that I never loved him. It was so gut-wrenching that I had to leave the car. I got into my own car, but was barely able to drive off before feeling like I was going to pass out or puke. I turned around and he was still in the parking lot, but when he saw me, he sped off. We haven't talked much since then, and when we did, he said we were broken up. He won't even talk to me now. I've talked to his best friend and the cousin he lives with, and they both said that he's not handling it well, and that he truly cares about me. I'm worried that he'll decide to leave me for good. How do I get him back? How do I show him that I love him? How do I regain his trust?
Well, let me start off by saying that I don't think OP cheated on her boyfriend, at least not physically. The new guy made a move, OP stopped it, and ultimately she can't control what someone else does. That said, like a lot of people who end up cheating on their partners, OP put herself in a situation that made it possible for something like this to happen. While talking with this new guy might have been completely innocent from OP's perspective, despite hiding it from her partner. She didn't know what this new guy's intentions were. For the most part, whether your relationship succeeds or fails doesn't matter to the person trying to come between you and your partner. So it's up to you to preserve what you've built. All too often you hear stories about people who cheat on their partners and then have the cheek to say that they don't know how it happened. Anyway, before I go off on a rant, let's jump into the comments.
Relevant Tone says, "Love is an action and choice. You chose not to tell your boyfriend that you were entertaining another guy. There's no way you can prove otherwise. You started talking to a guy behind your partner's back. That's literally what happened. It doesn't matter what your intentions are, that's what you did. And clearly this guy's intentions were different. A guy doesn't talk to a girl for 2 weeks and then randomly, off of no chemistry at all, try to kiss her. Something was brewing. You didn't respect your boyfriend enough. For those 2 weeks or month or whatever, you choose not to love your boyfriend. You may never get him back. Your job was to make him feel like he's the most qualified man in your life and that he's all you'll ever need. You'll have to work really hard to do that now." Educational Fan says, "If I'm to take your word for how things went down, it sounds suspicious. The guy you were talking to behind your boyfriend's back must have had a reason to think you would kiss him back. He wouldn't kiss you out of nowhere. Now, I'm not saying you gave the signal intentionally, but think back and meditate on it. When your boyfriend said that he hadn't been the best partner lately, he knew the relationship was going through some rough times. But what he sees in you is that when things got rough, instead of holding the ship together, you chose to entertain another guy. That's what's in his head. Right now, he might be thinking about how to move forward and how to get past this time in your relationship to probably even work things out, but he's having a hard time with this. Give him time. And if he reaches out to you, give him the reassurance he needs that you're not going anywhere and that you're 100% invested in the relationship. If it looks like he has no intention to continue the relationship, it's best to move on. It also sounds like he was cheated on in the past, but good luck to you both. Kipton Magnus says, for 2 weeks, you shared things with someone that you should have shared with your significant other. It was a brief emotional affair, but one nonetheless. Because you didn't go to your partner, he feels betrayed and inadequate, as you went to somebody else to get your needs met. I'd feel that way too. From my experience, male friends should be described as lovers in waiting, who ingratiate themselves by sabotaging your relationship. You had to know that he wanted more, and you enjoyed the attention. It's 100% on you to fix this or not.
Generally speaking, I think the comments were pretty good. If you're doing something that you feel the need to hide from your partner, chances are you're doing something wrong. If you're not sure or don't want to carry on a relationship with someone, they deserve to know. Give them a chance to find someone who wants to be with them, someone who won't go behind their back. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Coffee and Popcorn, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.